And we are ready to begin. We are so pleased you're here, and as we say to you all the time, we have waited for you your entire lives. Now, today, you will really accept that more. Even those of you who have been here many times before, you will start to understand nothing's accidental in your life or in the universe. And we said that so often, and not even our messenger understood why we were saying it, but we know that it's true. We know that each of you decided to be on the earth at this time to help not only your evolution, but that of your planet, which we have called your restructuring of your world. You've taken on a really big job, and so we're pleased that you have decided to do that. Now, it doesn't matter what you have been through in the past, even as past as yesterday. You have done that because you wanted to bring something wonderful into the world, and it was within you. It is part of your evolutionary path. Now, it's different for each of you, but we will say that what you came to bring is something wonderful, something of love, something of light, something that was going to make your new world what it was meant to become. And you each have done that, and you've just done it in different ways. Our messenger did not know that he was going to take on this role, even though he agreed to it before he was born. You each did, but you don't have that memory. And then it starts to come about as you get activated, and you become activated by the movement of your planets. Now, many of you could not have understood that because you're always discovering those things as you live. Our messenger could not have known that he was downloading this information in an organized way to bring you more healing. And that's what you all wanted. You wanted healing in your lives and also in your world. But you're the ones who are doing it. You are the ones who are manifesting your world, and you do it by how much you decide to love yourself. And what we gave you on this date last year, because we've done things in order, we said you could accept more of your power today. And that power is about loving yourselves and moving through all the restrictions, which are limitations. The limitations exist in your consciousness and in your thoughts and the actions that you have taken previously. We want you to let go of the judgment, though. The judgment of yourselves for what you think you haven't done, or you haven't gotten there yet, or you failed in some way. None of that ever occurred. You took on something very unique and something that you were meant to bring to the world because you wanted to correct, let's say, some things on your evolutionary path. So for some of you, it may have felt really challenging. Whatever situation you might have been through might have felt really challenging and difficult. But don't worry, we've given you a plan. We've given you a way to understand it. And we even had our messenger see what we gave you for tomorrow. We gave it to you tomorrow on the 16th of in 2008. You see, we've been dealing with your cycles of the changes in your planet. And we said, yes, you do create your life, and you can achieve mastery now. You have mastery over your life and of the universe. That's all of you. Now, the thing is, you create this collective universe, however. So that means it depends on how many of you are going to decide to take the next steps of your path, and meaning you go to a higher state of consciousness that is uniquely yours. There is not a one of you here who is insignificant, not a one of you here who is inadequate in any way. You just had a different path that you were going to take because adding what you come to learn, what you come to understand, the wisdom, the knowledge that you gain from everything that you've moved through, that creates the world that you want to see. Now, we did it on this day. We love that we did it on Father's Day in the United States. Doesn't matter where you are, the energy is still the same. And so, but because it becomes more potent for the United States because you are moving through generational patterns that you wanted to release. And our messenger understands that deeply because he's correcting things that he could see within his father that he couldn't get over. And that's what he's doing. But you're each doing that in your own way. And again, it doesn't matter where you might be. The entire planet is going through this generational change. Now, not many of you are not letting go of that, which is why you're seeing some of the conditions that are happening. But it was aligned so perfectly. We've used the United States as the example, we said, because energetically they were leading this restructuring. That's something that many of you could have not understood, but you saw it yesterday. That's why we planned this right in the middle. We had your full moon channeling, and then we wanted to give you a time to understand it, and then you saw the events of yesterday so that you could begin to choose love because you could see the differences that were occurring, and you had different sides. Now, we don't like using these measurements of good, bad, right or wrong, evil, or any of that stuff. We don't use that. We use light because you all have it. And when you take the next step into the lightness that is within you, that means just love, you're creating something wonderful in your life and you start to heal. Now you take on different roles. Our messenger took on the role of demonstrating all of this for you, which is why he's written it all down. There are many people on your planet now who understand what is occurring and they're talking about it all the time. There are other channels, there are all sorts of things. What our messenger took on was he decided he was going to live it. He lived it all. He went through all the challenges that you have, the physical things, the dark nights of the soul, as you've all experienced or you felt like you've moved through. And so, but what happened was he wrote it all down so you don't have to make it so challenging for yourselves. But that's what you're each are doing in your own way. You just take on, like we said, different roles. Now, the reason that we're saying we said this before, we don't want you to hate the others because you saw that yesterday and we don't want you to continue that because everything in the universe is energy, and the quality of the energy that you're going to put into your lives is going to be reflected in your world. And so you need stimulation at times. That's why you see the others that you disagree with, that you think are really horrible people, but you've been those people at certain times in your evolutionary journey, which is why we said you're eternal spiritual beings. And at different times, you've taken on different roles. And sometimes you were the antagonist. Sometimes you were the people who had all these different, difficult, lower vibrational things that you were doing, but that was just a path that you took then. You're not doing that now because you're listening to us. You're never in an accidental place. You would not be hearing us unless you were part of the new brigade, as we say, the new tribe that's bringing in something wonderful, and it's within you. But you also have to give yourself permission to love yourselves. And sometimes that's challenging because the things that might be within you have been deep, have been back in your lineage that you could not have understood, but they're coming up. And this is why the last several days might have felt a little challenging for you because you can't change anything you're unwilling to see. We've given you a way to see it and then reverse it. As you see, we put up several days of messages where we gave you the progression of how you change in your consciousness because you use linear time year after year. But if you do it in a way where you're embodying the new people that you become, the new souls, wow, do you have this really wonderful life? And eventually you'll have everything in your life that you want to see and also in your world, you see. And that is what is occurring now. You're going to have on the next several days the great opportunity to move to this higher level of wonderfulness within you, and we've laid it all out. Now, even our messenger didn't look at this. We've said it often, but we've given you things last year that were going to correspond by the date to the things that you're experiencing now. And if you move from today, from 2024, if you go to our site, any advice for today, you see what we've done. Because see, when you get to the 21st, which is another pivotal day, we said we gave you the key to your life, the key to success. And so, but you're going to take time to get there. Now it's going to change by the time you get there, but we've just given you a path that could give you a heads up, we might say, in getting there in a much easier way. Everyone on your planet's not going to do that. So we're depending on you. We're depending on you to become these wonderful, loving people that you could possibly be. And that again comes down to loving yourself. You're going to go through judgment. You're going to go through periods of looking at yourselves and having this regret. Allow it to be there. You're going to see it. But then get out of it. Take the next step. This is why we gave you day by day, you see, a path that you could just move beyond it because you all have it. But you're going to see it coming up in different ways throughout your world, which is why we had to do this today because we wanted you prepared. You've always been prepared, however. Your guides have prepared you for this. We just reinforce it, as we say. We give you confirmation. And we're going to talk about that because not many understood, not even our messenger. He could not understand how we could have given you messages on your birthday in 2012. However, we did. And it happens when there's this contact, and then he can read something to you, and it'll be resonant to what you're moving through in your life now. And we did that because we wanted you to have more belief in yourself, because that's the only thing that's ever missing is that belief, and you have to develop it over time. But then when you have these interactions and then you see what we had given you at that time, you become more competent and more courageous and more confident within yourselves, and that's all that we wanted. No one person is manifesting your world. This is what we also wanted you to understand. You're at a time where you wanted to let go of the idea of monarchs, of hierarchy, so that you can embody more of your authentic self. You've gone through eons of generations of people who had control over you. When we first began, we said you're going to move through this period, and we called it power, money, love, and control. And those are conditions that have been in your consciousness, your individual consciousness, but also the collective consciousness. Because if it hadn't been there, you wouldn't be leaving people out. You wouldn't be still discriminating and putting people down. That wouldn't be there, except it's a consciousness that not all of you have moved through. We started our messenger, and many of you could not understand. He didn't even understand why we had him looking at racism and misogyny. He couldn't understand why he was doing that because said that's not who I am. We told him, yes, it's in your consciousness. It had to be there because it's in the collective consciousness, you see. So, but it takes more of you to decide to remove it from your being. And then what happens is you start to feel great because now you've moved to a higher state of loving within yourself, and you're adding that to your world. That's been our entire intent. Our intent was to cause you to have self-actualization. And you will see that is the message that we have for you today. And we said that we have given you a philosophy that could change your life and your world. And it would have to turn out to be that because you would let go of all the lower vibrational ideas and beliefs that you've ingested and kept carrying that are holding you back from living the lives that you could have. And this is what we wanted you all to understand, and especially on this day. Now, but what we're going to do today, because this is going to be so much fun, because we have so much information for you, but we want to give it to you in the questions that you're going to ask, because we can feel them all. And you've been confused, and some of you are saying, well, why has it been so challenging and difficult? We're going to show you that it's been purposeful, every single one of you. And that's what we're going to begin with now. And again, Peyton will begin to get the questions. Peyton, are you there?
Yeah, waiting for questions.
Oh, okay, great. And it doesn't matter. We want you to feel they're only going to, please, again, these are not going to, and we know many of you, we do this because we don't want to, we want you to be as honest and vulnerable as possible. So that's why they're not going to everyone. You're just sending them to Peyton. That's all. And so be clear about that. And then we don't see you because we're just speaking to your soul.
If I miss a train, I know I catch the next one. I think the same for relationships and other opportunities. Can you explain a little if there are set people and events we choose before being physical here? And are they inevitable, or is there always another match regardless of both? I want to understand this better, how the choices and the before here choices work. Thank you.
You have an energetic um system that you set up for yourself. We don't want you to try to make this so universal because you each have there's no straight lines. We want you to understand that. You're in consciousness, and so we've even demonstrated this in the messages that we have given you. And so as you read them, you will see that we will take you places. We might use a particular date that is consistent over years, but then we'll jump back to another date, another year. And it seems arbitrary, except it isn't, because that's a consciousness that you will then start to understand. So you're doing that in your lives as well. So, yes, you will have certain relationships. Nothing is predestined, first of all. It's orchestrated in a way for your plan to show up, but you're making choices. You have free will. So you may make a choice on this one day and say, okay, now your higher self says, well, since you did that, let's take you back here and show you this now. And then eventually you start to understand more of it. And what you're doing always is gaining greater wisdom and awareness. So we don't want you to think that it's not laid out in that way, because otherwise you would have no free will. You must have that. The conditions are going to always be there, but you are the ones who are directing your life. This is why we said, and you'll see it on the message we're giving you tomorrow, it's about life mastery. That's what you each are learning, and you're going to do it in your own way. And sometimes you have to take detours, and the detours are always purposeful, though. So thank you.
How would you describe the energetics of experiencing memories from different timelines?
Oh, if that's what is up, if that's part of your mission here now, that's wonderful. Because see, that's what we wanted all of you to understand. And everything that we have given you, we're not giving you anything new. We have just allowed my messenger to access wisdom, ancient wisdom that's been around forever. And so if you're doing that, you're doing the same thing. You're just bringing in it. Now, we're saying this because not all of you will do that. And it doesn't matter if nothing is going wrong if you don't do that. But those of you who are and can harness that information, you're bringing in something wonderful. Thank you for that, because we're going to explain a little bit more. What we have given you, and we've given this to our messenger over time, is that it's collective wisdom from that has always existed, but it comes from different souls. It comes from different individuals at the time that they might have lived, which is why we've said we've used Einstein, we've used Adler, we've used so many in the information that we have given you, because they collected information when they existed and just kept bringing it forth. We took our messenger back. He didn't see this. He had to go to someone else to understand it, where he saw that he had wisdom that was going back to ancient Egypt. And many of you might be experiencing that at this time as well, have remnants of that or a slight understanding of that. But just think, everything is consciousness, you see, that's always existed. You keep improving it as you live when you start to take whatever was from before, and only the good stuff. We don't like using that, but it's something that humans can understand. It's something that is expansive, you see. And so when you can take that and add your essence to it, and then you give it to others. That's how evolution occurs, and you're each doing it in your own way. Thank you.
How do I best cope with my neurodiversity and be spiritual?
You love it. You love it. Thank you so much for that. That's the difficulties that so many of you have. You start judging yourselves when you discover that you're different and you're supposed to be. And we've talked about this. Oh wow, this is so wonderful. We said to our messenger, and he couldn't accept it. We said, you have savant qualities, because he couldn't understand why he was receiving these messages and could go back and find things that and just recall them. And he judged himself forever. It held him back. And then when he found out he had this ADHD, we didn't let him see that till he was 70 years old, because then he would have put that away as well. And so, but then we had him own it so he could just demonstrate that to each of you. You cannot create a much better, more expansive society if you don't come in and decide to be different. And so we're so glad you said that, because you've been judging yourself for being neurodiverse, and that's the most beautiful thing that you could have. But what you do with that is then you find the gift that it is bringing you. Because anyone who is exhibiting that or experiencing that, you have a particular gift that is within that. Now, we had to have him study others, which many of you could do well to start to do that. So you see that so many have brought in great works into your world because of that. And so we just thank you for that. We don't want you to judge yourself. You are being spiritual by being that person. So, wow, thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. Hmm.
I have had piping in my right ear like a Morse code. What is that kind of message?
You're tapping into the frequencies of your universe and the planetary changes. Your planet is You're moving through planetary changes that none of you have experienced. And so you're going to feel so many different things, and the ringing that is going to be part of it. Now, we want you to make distinctions. You have physical bodies, and sometimes, depending on who you are and what your path is, you may develop certain things that are indeed physical in nature, which could use some help, maybe a medical intervention or something like that. And so, if you are really bothered by that and you're not sure, then we say, well, go and have it checked out so you can understand. Now, we can know that any of you could move beyond all of those things because you can control it in your consciousness, but that may not be a part of this life path for you this time. So, but for you, we feel that you are resonating with the higher frequencies that are occurring in your planet now. Not everyone's going to do that, but many will do it in different ways. Because there's so many frequencies, and you're all activated energetically, emotionally, some people will act out in ways that are kind of disruptive, because they don't understand it. But what we feel for you is that you're being alerted to that. And sometimes you will feel in your body and make aches and pains and weird things that you can't explain, and there are no medical explanations for them, for instance. That means you're just moving to a higher state of consciousness. And so if you start to relax and go with it, it gets easier. But what we also will say, one of the things that you can do, many of you can do this at this time, is just start drinking a lot of water. Water is really soothing, and it's clearing, and doing something self-care. But again, if you get too bothered by that and you're not at the place where you've developed that ability to move beyond it, then you get some other help. As we said, our messenger gave this story the other day, so we want you to understand this. When he could not heal certain things, and now he's moved beyond that point, but when he could not do that when he was younger, he asked his grandmother because she could do it. And she said, you work to the level of your understanding. And that is for each of you. You can get this higher place of understanding where you can transcend anything. But if you haven't reached that place, don't judge yourself. Don't Just understand you have a unique path and do whatever causes you to have more comfort and self care. Thank you.
I've had a lot of ancestral healing the last months, and I love knowledge. But is it the ego who keeps me from starting a spiritual business?
No, 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 no. Thank you for that too. We love you all so much because you're asking all the correct questions. um, there's timing. There's timing in your life. There's divine timing. We've said this often. Many people who just shove it away. You do have a divine plan, each of you. Our messenger, everyone would look at him and think he should have been so much further along that in that estimation. And we said no. We hid him for the longest time. No one could understand that because, see, it wouldn't have made sense before. And so you're doing the same thing. You're gathering something. Those periods of waiting at times are really helpful because you're putting something together, but you slow yourself down if you judge it and think you should be out there and you should have done it. No, just understand that you're building something. And we gave you a message where we said you were being prepared. And if you think about what that means, it means that you're just garnering, you're just gaining the wisdom, you're incorporating it, you're integrated into your being, and it will come through at the correct time, and you will know. And then what will happen sometimes, you will feel pushed where it's so uncomfortable that you can't stand it anymore, and you'll start, okay, I've got to do this now. You may get to it that way. You'll each do it in different ways, but the one thing we don't want you to do is think anything's wrong, or haven't gotten there, or you're late. It's never that. Our messenger is 74. He'll be 75 in November. And we just said, that's why we said tomorrow, you're changing everything because you have to get this done because it is time in his path. Now, we're going to say this because some of you will look this up. We've mentioned this before, he's this double Scorpio. When each of you have these energetic codes, and they are tied to your astrology in different ways, and his is definitely that, and he's about death and rebirth. So his entire life was about bringing in this work for this time on your planet because he's a great messenger for it. And he's been through all the stuff. He's been through the death and the rebirth. And so you're doing something similar, but in your way, on your timeline, and it's also aligned with the changes in the universe, because you would not have been here unless that were true. And so we're just giving you that confirmation to just keep embodying it, and you're going to see it's going to start to come about, and then you'll feel that time where it's like, okay, now I'm going to do it. Thank you.
I feel aligned with my divine union.
Mm-hmm.
I resonate with the twin flame journey and have been on it for quite some time now. I feel it's time for my divine counterpart to join me on my journey of raising consciousness and fulfilling our purpose together.
Mm-hmm.
Can you offer me any guidance with where I am on the journey right now?
You just did it. You just called it in. You just stated it. See, because you said it aloud, you said it here. And so now we want you to trust. We want you to trust that that's what's going to come about because you declared it. Your words are powerful. Your thoughts and words and actions are powerful. But many times you will hold them back because you will think, well, it's not real. I'm not supposed to do that. Or you think you're an imposter or whatever. But the fact that you said those words means you put it into the universe. Now we want you to trust. And this is what we gave you when many of you thought your world was going to end in 2012, when we said that was another shift in your world. And on that date, we gave you the one word wait. And we said that there's an energy of weight that is really powerful. Everything in the universe is energy, you see. It depends on how you use it. And so we said when you're using the energy of the word wait, you're feeling calm because you know it's going to happen. You know that what's coming is going to be great and it's going to be wonderful. And you're not anxious and you're not being that impatient person that's putting it all away because you don't think you should have it or it's going to come to you. And so you're just reversing those patterns. But we will say now we just want you to trust it. But we want you to do something else though. We want you to envision what that would be because you have a general idea, a very broad idea of what that could be, but we wanted you to take it a little bit further. How is it going to help you live your mission of not just the other, but how is it going to help you and enhance what you're doing? Just take some time and just put that into your head. But regardless, we want you to trust it and just not and don't doubt it. Well, you're all going to have doubts, but we just don't want you to hold that. We want you to just plant it so that it starts to manifest because you're, like we said, you're planting the seeds, and those seeds will always begin to sprout and flower at the correct time in your life. When we use the word correct, because that's subjective again, but we mean that for you, there's an integrity of your life experience that if you don't muck it up with judgment and doubt, then it just starts to come about. But that takes practice as well. So thank you.
My cat is currently diabetic. How
Mhm.
can I best love and care for her to help her and her body? I sometimes feel anxious about it. From an energetic standpoint, is loving her and the diabetes all I need to do to help her best? I want to help her to live her best life.
You'll be guided to as to what that is. First of all, yes, you said everything correct. Loving her is going to be the best thing. Okay. Animals have their own evolutionary paths as well, and they're interconnected with yours. You wouldn't have them unless there was something there that was helping you both. Now, many won't think of animals in that way, but that is what's going on because they do have a soul. And sometimes they will agree. I want you to get this. They will agree to have these kind of conditions because what it does is it causes you to become more empathetic. It causes you to experience that feeling and generate that feeling of love because you want to help. Now, we don't want you to feel sad or all of that about it, but it's going to bring up that empathy for them. But that is healing for you. And cats have this wonderful thing. When they know they're ready to go, they just leave. And you may have seen that before. Our messengers had that many times. He had this wonderful cat. And so she decided it was time for her to go. So she just jutted out of the door. He never saw her again because the cat knew that it would be too difficult for him. And she knew she was leaving, and so it would be easier for her to just leave. Now, we don't feel that's your condition, but is still, when she's ready, she will leave her body if that's the case. But you're doing everything correctly by seeking the correct care and loving her and just understanding that this is her path, but she's doing a lot for you because she's bringing this wonderful love and empathy out of you at this time, which is so needed, not only in your life, but in your world. Thank you.
I love to be in service, but I don't know how. Do I do enough seeking for love in everyday life?
Do you do enough? Is that what
Do I do enough seeking for love in everyday life?
you probably do because you said that. And that's wonderful. Now you acknowledged it. See, some of you think you have to do these big things when it's just about, oh, what am I doing in my everyday life? What am I doing when I'm speaking to someone, when I'm going out into the world and I'm interacting with someone and I'm smiling at them or I'm caring about them? That's huge. And so, but then you demonstrate something like that where you think it's not enough. You see, this is something that it's ingrained within all of you, and we just want you to appreciate that you're already doing it. But your higher self just did that by having you ask that question, and now you can start to confirm it within yourself because now you can see it. And if there's more that comes out that you're meant to do, you'll start to do that. But we want you to start to appreciate what you already are doing because that's just part of your benevolent side. That's just who you are. And so that is powerful. And this is the thing, and especially in your world right now, we want you to appreciate this. Many of you, especially those of you who have been on what you call the spiritual path, or you've been workers or light workers or whatever, you have not taken the made that so important, so valuable. And our messenger hasn't done that. This is why we're changing things for him, because it was the energy of acceptance of that is going to be so much more powerful in this shift in your world. We said you're moving through a restructuring so that you can even out, you can balance things in a new way. And that balance has to be you each start to love yourselves a lot more in whatever way that is. And sometimes you've cut that off. He's cut his off with money. We've spoken of that earlier, that it's just an energy again, and it's a generational thing. And so, but he's no longer going to be able to do that because we've moved him out of that. Tomorrow it's going to change because he's going to start to like have to take this further, and he's not going to be able to do what he's been doing. And we're saying this because each of you have done that in different ways. You've held yourselves back in that way, and this is a generational change that you must move over, which is again why we love doing this on Father's Day, because whatever is in your lineage, you're going to do so much more. And it's going to take different forms, for each of you. But yeah, thank you for that.
I am experiencing a lot financially that is challenging. It
Yes,
feels as if everything is falling away, so that my only logical choice is to focus on the wellness business I've been working on over the
yes,
past couple of years, but never really started.
yes,
Is this what is happening to me? This seems all very confusing and scary, where all I can think about is pulling in money to pay my bills, but it's
yes.
never enough to pay my debts.
Yes. Oh, thank you. This is exactly where many of you are, including our messenger, right at this moment. And this is why we're doing it, because you haven't accepted the value that you have in that. And so, and the world needed you. This is why we kept having him saying, for you too, you're a chosen one. And sometimes the chosen ones have to move through a lot of suffering because you're going to see if you're going to keep going, if you're going to keep believing in, because it's all energy again, you see. And then as you keep going, you're just going to say, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do this. And then the universe will just move something through. And that's what starts to happen. But what you understand is it's moving you. You had to go through that so that you could embrace yourself more and to just start to believe in who you are. This is why we've laid things out to show you that it happens incrementally. For each of you, you're in your own path. But for many of you at this time on your planet, we needed you to understand the money thing because it's the energy that your world has needed. And what you witnessed yesterday which is why we said this was perfectly timed. And we're just using the United States, but it's everywhere. You're seeing wars going on and popping up again because those are old grievances, as we've said, but they exist within all of you. And most of them have revolved around how much money you have and how much money you're willing to give yourself, because again, it's just energy. And those are generational things that have been within each of you. But at this time, we want more of you to embrace the love of yourselves, and then you'll start doing the thing that gives you the joy that you know you're meant to do. And that's going to logically, we just wanted to say it that way, logically lead to more abundance coming through, because the universe is very and God is very, very, very deliberate about wanting you to do what you came here to do. But you and some I want to say this too. Um, your the generational patterns are in play here as well, because sometimes you were not allowed to believe that this type of thing that you're doing could be valuable, you see. And so we want you to move beyond that. Many on your planet are just into the material, physical things, let's say, on your earth, and that's never that leaves. That's why we keep saying you don't take it with you. But when you can attach that to this grander purpose of what you're doing while you're on this earth, more will start to become available. So please do not give up. You're right at that place, and you're understanding this more than you are admitting to as well, because that's there. And so just understand, every day you're going to work on changing that old programming. That's all, and you're going to do it in a way that gives you the ability and the the energy, let's say, to get in there and just do that thing and own it and say, this is what I'm here to do. And you'll see things start to change. Thank you.
I have a pressure and pulsing between my eyebrows, what some call the third eye. I'm
Mhm.
not unsure. I'm I'm unsure what it means. I think my third eye is activated, but not sure what to do with it.
You're just being awakened to something that's coming about within you, and not all of you will see it in the same place, but yes, you are quite aware of that's that third eye, that's your wisdom, that's what's coming through, and so it's being activated so that you can start to pay attention to it, which means that you're going to start to pay attention to why you're here, what you came to bring to the world at this time, and it's coming up in gently, let's say. And this again, uh this is so good. We don't want you to judge yourself that it's not apparent, that it's not clear yet, because you go through cycles. You go through this process, and that's your ascension journey, where you start to understand certain aspects of yourself, and you're getting it in that specific way. So we know that you have a lot of wisdom that's coming about, and then you're going to decide what you're going to do with it, how you're going to use it, what you're going to create, what you're going to manifest because of it. And your higher self is just giving you this focus now that's showing up in your third eye, and it'll keep opening up for you. Thank you.
How much does blessing our food and water before consumption make a difference? Is it just because of our intention and belief, or does it actually change the energetics of the experience of the food and beverages and our body too?
Well, you said it all correctly, because that's exactly what it is. Your intention will change all of it. And so, why are you doing it? Not everyone will do the same thing, but you're having this awareness. And so, yes, if you put that into why you're doing it, you're going to see miraculous things start to happen. We're going to get to a little bit of this as well, because there was a time where our messenger went through this whole period where he's worried about everything that he ate. But see, there was a process that he was understanding, that, wait a minute, if I'm paying attention, that I'm paying attention to myself. And then it got to the place where it didn't matter. But then, if you're feeling that this is giving you something, because you each will do it in different ways, then it's going to do that. The energy that you place on that action of honoring it and blessing it is going to bring about more. That's the first thing you should start to appreciate. Anything that you put your attention to is going to cause it to grow. And you're doing it in a very deliberate way, and we love that. And so just keep going with it. There's no correct timeline on this, because you each will do it at different times. He did this many, many years ago, and then things started started to change because he developed a different consciousness that it no longer mattered. But there was a time where he had to be very deliberate about thinking of that and doing those processes and rituals and all of that. And so if that is real for you, please do it because you're only using it to activate the power of your thoughts in your mind. You see, and but you each will do it in a different way. And we love what you're doing because that'll be a demonstration for so many others as well. Thank you.
I feel like I am not noticing a change or that I feel like I'm in limbo. I want
Mhm.
to feel the awakening, but just don't. I'm also finding that I am resisting to meditate. I'm not sure why this is happening. I do feel like I'm missing something big.
No, okay, thank you. Because we don't want you to judge yourself. You each will take different roles, and you're demonstrating that for everyone else. And so, for you to say that and write it, you've just given someone else permission to notice that within themselves. And so, and because you've said it now, you're going to notice that you're going to shift things in a bit. You're going to say, well, I'm just going to take a few minutes and start to sit down and be quiet every day, and that'll be my meditation. I'm going to find a way to do it for myself now. Now I'm going to find a way that I'm going to love myself a little bit more, and I'm going to let go of my resistance to even trying to meditate. It's going to come up in a different way for you. But you became vulnerable by writing that. And so now you've opened up so much more information that's going to come through. There is no right way for any of you to do any of this except what feels right for you. And sometimes you will feel numb and you won't feel like you're doing anything. That's okay. We'd like for you to just relax into that and then trust yourself and know that it's going to come about and it's going to come about at the right time. Because now we just have to have you stop your judgment of yourself because you don't feel that. Not everyone's going to feel everything in the same way. You have an individual journey that you're taking and it's perfect. And the fact that you're here means that you already made a huge contribution. Your energy being involved in this is doing so much. You just haven't appreciated it yet. But now you will, because it's going to start to open up for you day by day after you've made that comment. Thank you.
What physiologically happens when someone speaks in tongues or shakes when they are touched by someone in church? Is that just energy? Is it real?
It's real to that individual because that is the way that they are making a new communication. And when you're speaking in tongues, you're making a disconnect, you see, from your normal conscious waking state because that's always limited. You just will do it in different ways. This is something that our messenger would never have even done this before. He would never even he resisted it. And so, but then he gave himself permission, and now it's a different experience. Someone who's speaking in tongues is doing the same thing. They're giving themselves permission to access higher intelligence in a different way. And sometimes, and many of you do it with your drugs, as we've talked about often too. Your plant ceremonies and all of that. It's the same thing. You're disconnecting from this limited waking consciousness, this 3D consciousness that you're always existing in, but you're just using it in your way to get, or someone who is doing that is using it in their way that is helping them to understand it. And then the other thing that happens with that, we want you to get this. If you're around that person, if you're experiencing it many times, or someone's doing light language, it's the same thing. You don't even know what's going on. And you could be affected by that because the energy of that is something that moves those who are listening, even though they may not understand it. You see, so you're all being a cooperative, you're cooperating with one another to raise the consciousness of all of you. Thank you.
Do pets also have a soul plan?
Oh, absolutely. And they are connected to yours. If you're involved with them, they're connected to yours. Many of you might find this happening now as well, that as you start to awaken to different aspects of yourself, you might start experiencing animals being mysteriously attracted to you or coming up to you in ways that you don't completely understand because there's an energetic cooperation that's coming about. But the pets have that. You just may not all understand it. Oh, but it would be fun for you to do some investigating because you will see those are there. There's so many in your world now who are working with pets in that way, working with pets and their owners and understanding all of that. So you might want to investigate that because again, it's all energy. The forms don't matter. You're different, and when you come into human experience, yes, you do have a particular form that you will take that gives you different abilities and that than some of the animals. But the animals have really great abilities as well, and most of them are intuitive. You've seen that with your, and especially with cats and with dogs, you can see that they just kind of know things that you can't explain, and they just do things, and that is inspiring each of you to trust more of your intuition. So, thank you.
If I simply choose love, I don't need to control or even try to control the people or situations or anything, right? Because the love will be the attraction power and I will naturally attract what's in resonance with who I really am and why I'm here.
Well, that would be generally true, except not many of you will do that. That's not your evolutionary path is going to involve very different things, and and you're going to do it with other individuals. And so, um, there's so much in there that you've said. Um, you will bring in the correct people. We're using that word again because we want you to understand it. That will give you the ability to access your higher self in whatever way that is. Now, but when you start to think you're going to control things, that's where you get into trouble. Control what's going on or who's going to come into your life. Your higher self is going to be more in control of that, or God, however you think of it. So you will bring in the thing that we called it the integrity of your life experience, if you can think of it that way. And so you start to trust that. Sometimes you will bring in people that are giving you so much that you just don't like, you don't want, you think. But somewhere you agreed for that because you wanted to get over it and move beyond it or heal something within you. And so that there it's always going to be a bit different, but we just want you to let go of the control and start to trust. Yes, so but you said the right thing, the love. Eventually, when you more of you can come to only seeing in that way, only acting in that way, which it's a long it's a journey, but the more that you can do it, it gets better. And so you're on that path, but we just don't want you to think that you're never going to see the opposite of that because you couldn't evolve unless you saw at other times contrast. Thank you.
Can intention change the molecular structure from food? Can this help people who are very allergic for particular substances? Why are people allergic?
You can't answer that, and because it's part of their path. There's something that they accepted that they wanted to come to understand within their journey, and as they do that, they will demonstrate that to the rest of you. And yes, intention can change everything because intention is you using your brain, your electromagnetic qualities that are in your thoughts, and they can change so much. But don't think that you're necessarily going to be able to accomplish that. You've seen many people who do levitation, for instance. They're using their mind and their thoughts to manipulate energy. You won't all be able to do that, but you do know that it's possible. And so you're going to find what is appropriate, let's say, for your particular life journey and develop that. And that's what each person is doing. But we love the fact that you talked about the intention because the more of you who could use that, you would start to develop miraculous things. And we're going to have our messenger talk about more of this because he's not put all of this out, but he will. He's healed what you call incurable diseases because we know that they're not because you're dealing with physical things. But again, it takes a skill and time to develop the mind power, the consciousness to be able to accomplish that. But you all could. But again, it's only what is appropriate for your life journey. We gave you a message and we said that, in your physical body, you will change things in different ways. You each will have something. Um, and you might think that nothing has happened if you couldn't cure something or couldn't cause something to heal in a particular way. That's not where you're wanting the cure to happen. It's not necessarily going to be in the physical world where the cure or what the resolution always becomes is in the spiritual realm. It just may not show up in the way that you want it to look, but it's always happening in the spiritual realm if you do what is appropriate for you and do the work within your own life. Thank you.
When is the rest of the program coming? Ready to continue my journey of discovery of myself.
We thank you for that. And that's exactly what our messenger needed to hear because it's starting now. Uh, okay. Oh, this is uncomfortable for him, but we're going to do it because it's going to be helpful for all of you. He has known what he's had. He has known that he he's seen it all. Because we kept revealing it to him recently, more recently than ever, because you all have that. It just becomes activated at a particular time. And so then we had to set it up so that he'd be forced to do it. Sometimes you each need something like that where you get a little push. So now he has a meeting tomorrow where he's going to meet with someone who wants to take it to a much bigger audience. And so he has to finish and he has to charge more money from it. The things that he's resisted, that each of you have resisted. And so, and he can't help more of you or can't help more of collective. He can't do his part if he keeps holding himself back. We're saying this because you each have done that in different ways. But it's okay because now is the time you're meant to change. And as you will see, we've laid it out. If you look at the messages from on last year, from this day on to the 21st that we give you in segments, we give you everything in increments, but you will see how we guided you each day to keep taking that next step into accepting yourself. And even the message that we gave you on this day last year, you'll see it there. And so that's what's happening with him as well. And so tomorrow it's changing. We told him that he's telling everyone that the rate that it's at today, that's it. He can't do that anymore after tomorrow because he's been selling himself short, like you all have. We're just using him as the example. You all have. We're saying this because if more of you had been able to move beyond your fear, move beyond your judgment of yourselves, move beyond that doubt, you would have a beautiful life in a wonderful world because you are the ones, as we said, who are creating your world and it's all energetic. But you have patterns within you that you need to move through, and he's had deep ones. And so we're pushing him and we set it up that it has to happen. And so thank you for that because it will be there. He's committed now because we've done this purposely. We want you to understand if you go back through our messages for the last several weeks, you will see, and he's exhausted at this time from doing this. We had him sit down and just take this one cycle from 2008 and put all the messages together. And then he would see it. And then he took it and he put it into artificial intelligence because you all have doubt of what you can do or create. He did too. And it said in there, they analyzed it. He kept going to different ones and said, this is a guide. This is a collective guide for each person to move to a higher state of consciousness and understanding. And more of them would do that individually, collectively, you would change your world. And that was, he couldn't accept that. But now he will, because he is being an example, just as you each are being an example for all those who come later. You only are on the earth plane for a while, and you have to think, which is why we keep talking about legacy, you see. You each are having one, and you're meant to do it now. That's the reason for this really transformative period in your world. Because the world was waiting for you to show up. That's all. Thank you.
Are the questions being asked a way to open the energy exchange between you and the individual asking? How much do the actual words matter, and how much is it just the act allowing the energy to flow so the words themselves don't matter?
You're a brilliant person and you said all of it because it is exactly all of that. Our messenger couldn't bring through what we're giving him unless you asked a question. This is a cooperation, you see. He doesn't have any more than you. He's just using his particular skill and you're stimulating it by asking the questions. And that's what you're all doing, though. That's what we want you to understand. This is a cooperation. So thank you for that, because the more of you who do that, we just want you to feel the energy. You can feel it right now. The synergy of that. The more of you who decide, oh, I can take this next step and it's going to happen in this way. And you take away the judgment that you've had, because the other thing that happens, you each have great skills, but you have these other things that come up. You think it's not you, you're not adequate, or all of that. But the more you see it demonstrated in another and you're willing to embody it within yourselves, you change everything. So, first of all, we want you to appreciate the brilliance and the wisdom in that question. Because you said it and you put it all together. You might not have even understood what was included in that, but we don't want you to miss it. So just keep remembering what you asked because that was brilliant and it's going to help so many others. Thank you.
Since I was quite young, part of me has wanted to separate from my blood family, and I currently feel physically stuck with them. I feel like it's all or nothing, and that perspective would benefit a shift. Can you speak on this, please? How do I really know my soul perspective on this versus my ego perspective that's felt hurt by it?
Okay. We gave you a message that's in the thread today, and we said you chose your father. We just used that as an example, but we want you to read it. It's in the string that we gave you today because you each did choose your families. We know that's challenging for you to accept, but you chose them because they offered you something. They offered you a way to come to love yourself, and whatever way that becomes appropriate. If you reach a place where those people, where you can't be with them, even if they're relatives, that's okay. You each have a soul path, you see, and you're serving one another. But the thing is, no matter what relationship it is, and if you find that you need to have a separation or move in a different direction, you must do it. Well, not must, but we say the most helpful way to do it would be with love. And that means that you offered yourself this particular situation so that you could figure out a way to come to love yourself without deliberately or intentionally hurting another. And so that's what you've set up. And so not, but you're aware of it on a different level. Just give yourself time for the awareness to become very apparent. But many of you will find that, and so thank you for that because this period in your world is, it feels like things are just splitting in different ways. And there are many of us talking about that, especially in the next several days. We don't come from that standpoint. We come from the standpoint that it's all purposeful because it's for you to come to understand your importance in this world, what you came to accomplish, and then everything you were given is helping you to accomplish that, including your family. And so now you've just given yourself permission to look at the current situation, and now your next task is being, how do I solve it so that I can move to the higher state of understanding and love for myself, and knowing that it's not deliberately doing something to the others. Now, you can't control how anyone else is going to respond or act to anything. You can only control how you are going to act and the intention that you're setting forth. And if your intention is, I'm going to do something that's going to cause me to put more love into myself and the world, you will have the right answer. And then you cannot be responsible for the reactions of others. And that's what many of you are going to come to during this period. But many of you have already done it. You've gone through so much in the last several years where you're at a different place now. And so we want you to appreciate what you've already done. But you just have to, you're going to have more that you're going to do. But now we're so glad we're giving you this because now you'll have additional tools to make it so much easier. Thank you.
I have had an idea to start a nonprofit for almost 6 years. The idea is quite large, and I have done little to bring the idea to fruition. Is that because I am resisting the idea, or is it just divine timing?
It's just divine timing. And so we were so glad that you said it because now your higher self is says, okay, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to become more honest about it. I'm going to bring more light to it. And the light is in your awareness. And so that's wonderful. But we don't judge yourself because you're coming to a greater awareness. Otherwise you couldn't have asked that. But now we just want you to sit with, what do you really want? We want you to sit with yourself and your heart and say, what is going to make me really start to love myself. Sometimes you will all hold yourselves back at times. So that doesn't mean it's wrong or any of that. It's just the divine timing, as you've said. And so, but because you've said that, we feel that you're becoming much more aware of that. And so then what's going to happen is you're going to give yourself some periods of time to sit and meditate and look at this, and then you'll start working on it a little bit at a time. You see, our messenger started. Let's just go through this, can we? We've shown you pictures of it. He sat down in 1989 and started receiving us. He didn't know why he was saving the papers. He just kept doing it. And so we don't want you to judge yourself or think you're left behind. You're not, you're doing it at the right time. You are just gaining information, but now we do want you to do something active, though, and that is to kind of look at now, because this is a time where you can move. Just look at, is this part of my life plan? Is this going to give me joy? And sometimes it'll feel like work, and all of that. But if you get into the energy of your heart, you'll also have more clarity. Thank you.
What question, if honestly lived, would require me to become a new being to receive its answer?
Do that one, please, one again.
What question, if honestly lived, would require me to become a new being to receive its answer?
You, you're gonna do what our messenger did, because you said that in a way, you wrote that in a way, um, that you're thinking that there's some one thing that's going to do it. You don't know what that is. And so what he did, and we're going to use this because this is going to be a great example for you. We just want you to be open to the information that your higher self is bringing to you now. There's not one question. Now, what he started doing when he started receiving us, which was, so surprising to him, he started to control it. He started to sit down and write questions, specific questions. Now, we're not saying that's wrong. Many of you might do that to get things stimulated and start to go. But for him, that was a problem because see, he's trying to control the answers that we were going to give him. And we gently, he suggested, why don't you let go of that? And that's why he started saying any advice for today, because that instant he became more open to receiving information that he did not know. And that's what we want you to do as well. Because, see, you frame that in a way like that there's one thing that's going to give you that. No, you have vast amounts of wisdom and knowledge that can come to you in a myriad ways. So just become open to seeing what it is. So take off the limitation of thinking that there has to be this one way of doing that, or some. That's kind of like you each want this quick fix to something, and it's not that. Your lives are ever expanding. And so just be open to the possibilities. If you could just do that, things would be so much better. Thank you.
This is interesting, and I understand. However, I have not been able to heal myself after years on a healing journey, and I have no idea what I am to do here, despite much work.
No, no, you're demonstrating something for everyone. Thank you for saying that. There's nothing wrong. You're still there's an evolutionary arc, let's say, that is happening for all of you. And so you might be stuck at a particular place. That doesn't mean anything has gone wrong. It just means you're coming to greater awareness that's going to explain to you why you chose that path, what is going on now, and you still haven't answered certain questions. That's all. And so, and then the other thing, just because you've been on what you think your time thing is irrelevant, we want to say that to all of you. Again, so we keep mentioning our messenger's age. Let go of the chronological age thing. Because you've been working on it for a long time means you've built up some great wisdom and knowledge. You just haven't put it together in a way that you fully understand it. That's all. And so, because it's the healing, we know that you're going to do something in that area, but we have to you have to shift your perspective on all of that and ask new questions of yourself and of your higher self. Why did I accept this? What am I supposed to gain from it? See, we're framing this differently, and if more of you could do this, you would get very different answers instead of judging yourself that you haven't done it yet. So why am I doing this, and what was it supposed to bring me, and why at this particular time in my life and in the world? Because they're connected. You're never in an accidental place. And so we just have to get you to answer new questions. And then when you start to release the judgment, you may effectuate more physical healing. Again, it doesn't always mean that that's going to occur, but when you stop thinking that it's gone wrong because you haven't gotten there, you allow more information to come through because we can feel that's what you've been doing for a really long time because you're stuck with all of this, you see? And this is why we want you to understand this. We've done this for all of you. And we've that's why we keep showing how much information we've given our messenger. You don't do it all at once. Give yourselves time. And it's going to be something that is appropriate for your journey. There's no right way or wrong way for any of you. It's just your way, which is why we used a message that we gave you. We used the song My Way. We wanted more of you to understand that that song was very prolific in many different ways because you each are meant to do it in your way. When you take away the judgment and start to ask new questions and be open to more information. What we give you are we just ask you questions in our work. That's all you see. That's all we're doing because we're stimulating the wisdom that's within each of you because it starts to come through and then all of a sudden you feel this big shift that happens. You wonder where that came from. It's just that you let go of the resistance. That's all. Thank you.
What is dragon energy?
Sorry?
What is dragon energy?
It is what it means to you. And we want you because we know that what that meant was you felt energy. You felt the dragon and something big. And that's what's coming up within you. And your higher self has said, please embrace more of that. You're not going to all have the same ideas or even images that are going to come to you. But when they come to you, they're specifically for you in a particular way. And so because you said that, you're at a time where, and this is what we want for more of you, because you're balancing out something in your evolutionary arc at this time in your world. We said you're creating a new balance in your world. So because you are connected to that dragon, that feels really expansive. It feels big. And so there's an energy within that that you're meant to incorporate into your life. We're not saying you're going to go out and be that dragon against others. It's just that you're going to use that to embrace more of you, which, as you'll see, we gave you that message last year on this date. You might be willing to embrace more of your power. That's why you have the dragon energy coming up, because that's what you can conjure that idea within your own thoughts. So thank you for that.
And then last one, what in general is the best way to start our day to choose alignment?
Oh, thank you. Is to decide that you are important. It's just to decide you are important. What we mean by that, we've talked about the morning routine. Now it's going to be different for each of you. And you're going to do something that works within your schedule, whatever that might be, because you're not all going to do it in the morning. It's just that when you take definite time each day to be with yourself in whatever way is comfortable. It might be meditation or something like that, but it is usually involving some form of being quiet, being willing to listen to yourself, listening to what's inside, because that is the gateway to your higher self and guidance. We just stimulate you to get to that place. But just if you were to do something like that every day, and we're saying this because not all of you will do the same thing. Again, we want you to understand that, but we want you to know what is possible. The reason we speak about our messenger, what he's done is because he did this every single day, going from all kinds of horrible things that were there in his life that would people thought this is not possible. But he was dedicated. And again, he didn't know why he was saving everything, but he was ingesting this information, and you each have that ability. So that is the most beneficial thing any of you could do, especially at this time in your world, because as we also said in the messages that we gave you in the thread, the world needed you. And that means that you have to need yourself first. And that's the most powerful thing that you can do. Thank you so much. And we want to say as we leave here today, we did this today because we're moving things forward, as we said. We're going to send this replay out and we want all of you to look at it. And we've given him many messages and we want you to move through the ones that we've done today. And we want you to do something else. We want you to look as we're giving you more proof because our messenger didn't even look at this until we told him today. we keep giving him this because when you move, there are energies that are going to be happening on your planets and moving up to the 21st. These are just energetic changes. And so by that time, we wanted more of you to understand how powerful you can become and discover and see that you discovered the secret to life. That's where you're going to get to. Thank you. And we love you all so very much. Thank you.